Everybody, good afternoon. Hello, Canada.
Mehek.
Hello. Hello, welcome.
Mehek.
Welcome. So welcome everybody to Studio 116 and of course to our friends online in the UK and in Canada. We're truly an international group. Yeah. So thank you, Munir, for agreeing to talk to us today about all this wonderful work which has been happening. And actually, it appears that we are doing this at a very important time. As I understand, your book sales have now moved into 4 digits.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
So we're celebrating that as well today. Yeah, so well done.
Thank you.
Well done. So tell us, I know we've got a studio audience, we've got a lot of questions, but before we get there, tell us a little bit. So how did we go from accountant, financial consultant to author? How did it happen?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I know you've dedicated your day to this, even though you're here for an hour or so, but it's taken you whole day. So I really appreciate all of you being here. So one day I was approached by training, I'm a chartered accountant. So one day I was approached by a mentor come friend who said that, why don't you write something for me? I said, why? He said, my editor is off sick, so I need somebody to write just me a 1 page on current affairs. And he knew that I was quite into current affairs, and we always used to talk about it. So just write anything. I said, look, I don't write. I can talk as much as you want, but writing is not my thing. So no, just write me anything, on what's happening in the country today. So I said, okay. So I wrote a 1 page A4 size piece of opinion on current affairs, and I gave it to him, and he tweaked it, he published it. And then he wouldn't leave me alone. His editor in due course passed away because he was not well. So he said, you continue writing. So over the course of next 10 years, I ended up writing 3,000 plus editorials. And that set me on that path. Before that, I had never written except perhaps 1 newspaper article back in 90s, which was published, but then that was a political analysis. So writing was never something I was going to do. And then I moved into a think tank business, if you like, where a lot of my work involved analyzing and writing and producing policy papers. So that helped. And then while I was doing that, I had all of these ideas about what was wrong with Pakistan. That's where it all started. In terms of the politics, in terms of the management, in terms of the economy. So I wanted to write about that. But nobody wants to read something about economics, or just politics. So I decided I'll create a story. So this started in about 2011. Now, those of you who know about Pakistan would know that 2011 was also the time when Pakistan's establishment was launching Imran Khan. So the book pretty much covers how, even though it was written totally independent of what was happening, so it could just well be a story about how Imran Khan, came into power and how he was helped by social media and all. So all that is part of my first book as to how I would do it. But in my book, it was a businessman, entrepreneur becoming a politician, and that was obviously a sportsman. The other thing was that it talked about what was wrong with the country as part of the story. And the book starts with a note saying, it's called Road to Hell. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So this guy starts with a reformist agenda that he's going to fix the country. And the popular sentiment is, and was at that time, that all that is wrong is because of US influence. So he starts trying to fix that, and things go wrong. And it ends up pretty much destroying the country.
Don't tell us the ending, Munir.
Yeah?
Everybody wants to read
But
it.
no, it's not actually. It's not, because when you read the book, you would find there are quite a few twists. So it starts with political agenda and becomes something totally different.
Okay. So this was the start point.
Yeah,
in terms
that
of
was
books, yeah?
Conceived 13 years ago. Started writing in 2013. So 2 years it just sat there, and then it took me 2 years to finish it.
Okay.
So yeah, that was the starting point. And then I decided, okay, I can do this.
Right.
So
that
then
was that gave you the.
Yeah.
All right, and we've got quite a range of work after that. Yeah. Do you want to just talk us through some of the
Sure.
the other books that you?
Okay, so that was one, and then I decided I would write a sequel to it. But then when I did the market survey and response, this is essentially a conspiracy theory. The demand for appetite for conspiracy theory novels was limited. So I wanted to address a wider audience. So even though this has sort of a sequel in False Flag, but that came much later, I thought of a murder mystery. And this was, again, most of my stories start with what's actually happened. So in my first murder mystery, Nangi is actually Urdu word, means naked. So it's about, actually this happened, that a woman was paraded naked in a marketplace. So I took that as a starting point of my story as to why it happened, and then it goes into all the things behind it. It's a crime story. So it starts, when it's a crime story, again, when I started writing crime stories, my first thing was how to engage the audience. Because if you open the book and you can't get into it, then you're not going to read it. So it has to be something which gets you invested into the story pretty much straight away. So therefore, it has to be a murder, which starts right at the beginning, and then everything else flows from there. So this is what happens. A body is found, and then the investigation starts, and then it goes from there. Okay. So again, in this part of all my stories, I have some kind of a subtext. So in this was the problem of human smuggling, and how that's part of the problem we have. So a murder that happens, and how it develops. And even I didn't know when I started the story. I thought, okay, so this woman is found dead, and the murder is being investigated, but who killed her? So until the last quarter of the book, I would say last 20%, even I wasn't sure who was the murderer or who I was going to pin it on. So as I went through it, and then the actual murderer, and when that happened, the story completely changed. So then I had to tweak the whole story, because I had started with one bad guy, that he's going to be the killer. But then, it continued. So let me put it this way. What I find is that stories take a life of their own. And they evolve themselves. That is the way I write. So even though I start with a story, an idea, but that's not necessarily how it would end up. So let me just come here and go to Mashal. Now Mashal, I